Hey guys, today we're going to be going over some of my artist books, sketchbooks, junk journals, things like that. First thing we're starting off here is called The Book Where Everything Went Wrong. It's basically just like a story-styled journal diary thing of like all of like some of the major injuries I've had, just because they have affected my life in various different ways, from using canes in high school to having to go into physical therapy in college, and just some of the struggles that came along with this. At the time it was really relevant because the semester before I was still recovering and going to physical therapy for my wrist. This book was made for a 100 drawings assignment in a drawing class I had in college, and so I figured what a better way to have 100 drawings than to have a 100-page book, which every page features a drawing to kind of tell the story, along with text or, other elements that kind of explain what is going on. And this was just a good way for me to just kind of have a record and a story of what all I've been through and, being in physical therapy as a young person. For the critique of this project, I not only had the finished book brought into class, but I also brought in some of the objects that I used in physical therapy to kind of make it a more interactive piece. Everyone in the critique really liked that I brought the physical therapy things, like the Theraputty and some other objects, like one of those hand muscle strengtheners. And my favorite things about this piece are the front and back covers and the last page. The front and back covers feature x-rays of my wrist, kinesio tape, and a pamphlet from the physical therapy place I attended. We're going to move on to this little guy. This little guy is kind of a junk journal. I had a bunch of paint swatches. Someone gave me a bunch of paint swatches, and I just kind of went wild with some washi tape and stuff, and it's just kind of random bits and bobs of colors, drawings, notes, interesting things that I found or saw or collected. I just kind of had fun with it. I made a lot of that with sitting in office. This next book, I kind of made the cover and didn't really have anything in mind for it, but I was really, really into bookmaking, and I want to get back into it just because I used to really love the process of Coptic stitch binding and things like that. There's a lot of mediums that I have been obsessed with and then kind of dipped out of. That's just typically how things go for me, is that I'll kind of ebb and flow through different mediums that I really like working in, and then, sometimes I'll just not be really into it anymore for a little while. So I'm going to start talking about this next book. This next book I made, it's called Metanoia, as you can see by the stitching. Here's some pictures of the book displayed at my BFA show. I was allowing guests to write in the book to leave me notes about the show. I made this book to kind of plan and have a space for things for my last semester of my undergrad. So it was supposed to be a book about my journey through life during college, as well as my growth through art. The book primarily features drawings and prints that I have made, along with some pieces from other people that I have had class with. A majority of the book is my pieces, some of my larger scale pieces that I just don't really have space for, so I decided to put them into this book that I can keep forever. The two covers are aluminum lithograph plates that one was mine and one was a plate that we had in the studio, and I just kind of spray painted on it and stuff, and I thought it looked nice. I like the texture of it. If you see me writing in any of this, I'm just annotating things so that I don't forget it later down the road. Honestly, I don't really flip through this a whole lot, which is why I felt the need to do it, because I really don't look through here a bunch, and I really did not realize how much empty space I still have in this. So I will definitely be probably going back into this and continuing to use it before I make a new sketchbook. Even though this one is really large, I do have some other sketchbooks that I'm going to probably start working in. Sketchbooks that I already have, I'm not gonna buy any new ones. I have so much like paper and stuff that I just don't really buy sketchbooks anymore. A lot of these pieces, like you see charcoal or pastels, are from my time in community college. They're assignments from like drawing 1 and drawing 2. I really enjoyed that when I was in community college. Nowadays, all of my work is a little more conceptual with some meaning behind it, just because that's how I prefer working usually. I like my works to be representative or to tell a story or to convey a message of some sort, so that it relates with my audience of people who see it in like galleries and on my website and stuff. It just gives me something more to talk about, another way to express myself. So that's usually what I do, and I love talking to people about my art and answering questions about it. So if you have any questions about anything that you're seeing in this book specifically, this book is a little more meaningful than the other ones that I've shown today. Conceptually, I really like the first book I showed you guys, the book where everything went wrong. I like that it's like a story, but this book has like a lot of different prints and things like I'm showing, and it just has a lot of different old pieces from not only me but others that were impactful in my life. So it's really a fun book to look through, and I always enjoy looking through it. As far as how I did the binding on this book, I lined up all the signatures and I wrote the letters how I wanted them to look. I just marked like on the sides of the signatures, and then I just put the holes in with all where every single hole would go so that the thread would make the letters how they need to be. It was a long process and definitely not for your first book. I do not recommend if you've never bound a book by hand before. But it was a fun challenge, and I could definitely see myself doing something like that again in the future. Maybe in a couple months here. I did join a fibers challenge for this year with the Missouri Fiber Artists organization that I'm a part of, as well as I'm part of a print exchange that is going to be happening soon, so that's exciting. I'm just really trying to make this year a year where I actually start engaging more and not just focusing on my job so much, but dedicating myself to having a work life and art balance between all the art things that I want to do, my job as a photographer, and just taking care of myself and others around me. That's going to be all this week. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye!